Hello all and welcome to my YouTube channel. So in the last video, we have started with AutoGen as a agentic framework, and also we have seen basics of AutoGen, and we have understood how we can build a agentic framework with the help of AutoGen. And we have built two agents, user proxy and assistant, and we have seen how exactly the conversation happens between these two. And we have used Azure OpenAI service in order to consume the LLM model. Now, the code of last session is already available in the GitHub, and I have given that link in the description. So please go ahead and check it out, and also don't forget to try it on your side. Now, in this particular video, we are going to understand how exactly the termination process works in between the agents, and how exactly AutoGen help us, and what are the parameters that are available in the AutoGen in order to terminate the agent conversation. Now, it's very important to understand why do we need to terminate the agent conversation. So basically, whenever two agents converse with each other, there should be a way where agent should get to know that when to end the conversation, or else it goes into the infinite loop. And once it goes into the infinite loop, we are wasting our tokens, because whenever the information is passed between one agent to another agent, we are passing tokens. And as we know that whenever we are using any LLM, it charges us based on the tokens. So we don't want that. We want to use our resources wisely. And that's where termination plays a very important role in multi-agent conversation. So let's understand how exactly AutoGen handles the termination process. So there are two ways with which we can handle the termination in AutoGen. So the first one is using initiate chat parameter. Now in the initiate chat parameter, there is one attribute that we need to pass is the max turn. Whenever we are setting max turn as a parameter, we need to hardcode the value, and then the agent takes into consideration ending the conversation based on the parameter value that we have given. So let's assume that we have two agents. First one is agent 1. Let it be user proxy. And then we have another agent. Let's say it is a assistant. Now, whenever there is a conversation happens between these agents, agent 1 talks to agent 2, and agent 2 generates the response and sends back to the agent 1. Now, let's say max turn parameter, we are setting it as 2. So each turn we need to consider it as 1. So let's say whenever agent 1 is asking questions to agent 2 and agent 2 is replying back, it considered as 1 turn. Then agent 1 can again ask another questions, and in that case, this is second turn. Agent 2 will respond back to the agent 1, and that's how the 2 turns are completed. And after this, the termination will trigger. Now, this is the simple way of terminating the chat parameters, or this is the simple way of terminating the chat between two agents. There is second method that is available, which is agent level configuration method. Now, what exactly is the agent level configurations? Let's understand those. Okay, in the agent level configuration, there are two ways. First one is with max consecutive auto reply. With max consecutive auto reply, we can set the consecutive reply options, and again we can hardcode this particular value. And based on this value, the agents will take actions on terminating the chat, the agents. And this configuration we can set at agent level. So if you remember, first method that we have seen, it was at the overall chat level, where we are controlling the termination at chat level. But the second configuration that we have is the agent level configuration, where for individual agents we can assign this particular configuration. And in max consecutive auto reply, let's say your two agents are conversing between each other, then you have two different agents, agent 1 and agent 2. Let's say you have user proxy. You have user proxy as first agent. And then assistant as second agent. So in this case, what will happen? Now we are talking about max consecutive auto reply. One user will have the visibility. Let's say for user proxy, we have defined max consecutive auto reply value as 1. Now, whenever we are assigning one value, this will take care. If there is consecutive auto reply meeting to 1, it will interrupt the flow. Let's say first, user proxy agent is asking first questions to the assistant. Whenever user is asking first question, it is not counting that. So basically, it's max consecutive consecutive auto reply. So if you need to focus on reply option, the first message that the user proxy is sending to the assistant is not the reply. So basically the assistant will reply back to the user proxy, and we have not set any parameter to the assistant, so it will not terminate the flow. Now to this assistant response, user proxy will again ask some another questions to the assistant. So it will reply back, and that reply back is nothing but the first consecutive auto reply. So second time whenever user proxy agent is asking anything, this will be counted as 1, and then this assistant agent will respond back. Because there is no any restriction provided to the assistant agent will keep replying. But now user proxy agent next time will see that okay, max consecutive auto reply option is counter is set to 1, and it is matching to the parameter value that we have set. So it will terminate the process. And that's how the terminate works in the max consecutive auto reply process. I hope it is clear now. First response it is not capturing, first question it is not capturing, but it is focusing on the first response. The second method that is available is termination flag. What exactly is termination flag is? So in this particular, again, it is we can set this at the agent level. Let's say again we have user proxy agent. So for user proxy agent, we can set this particular is termination flag if terminate is available. If terminate is available in the chat, this user proxy agent will take action of terminating. So whenever now the assistant agent sends this termination flag to the user proxy agent will go ahead and terminate the chat. That's how the termination works. Now we need to train this particular assistant message to send this particular termination message. And this termination message can be anything, right? It can be anything. Let's say it can be goodbye message, or it can be end message. It can be terminate message, right? It can be anything. It can be any custom message that we can pass. And with the help of this particular custom message, this user proxy agent will take action of terminating. So that's how the second method at the agent level is termination flag. So this is how we can control the agent conversation termination with the help of AutoGen. Now let's study these methods into the practical implementation. So we'll jump onto the coding side, and we'll actually see how exactly this termination works, where we will see a very good example. Now we will not use user proxy and assistant agent. We will use actual two agents where we will ask them to share the conversation between each other, and then we'll see how exactly they terminate. So let's jump into the coding part. Okay, so last time we have built this particular LLM configuration, and that's how we build these two particular agents. Now this time let's create another agent. Okay, so let's create a new file, and we can give the name as termination, test termination. And we can copy this particular part because that's what we will be using. And let me go ahead and activate my environment. So env scripts, and then we have activate. Yeah, you can see the virtual environment is activated now. Let me close and reopen the file. Sorry, let me just give the interpreter path once again. Okay, the environment is active. This is the LLM configuration that we have given. Now let's create a agentic framework. So let's create two different agents. First one, we will give name as two agents, Maddie and let's say Joe. And we will ask them to converse with each other, and we will ask them that, okay, you are a part of like Yo comedians, and you need to keep sharing the comedy, or you need to keep generating a comedy message, pass it to the another agent, and then another agent will accept that message and generate its own comedy message. So that's how the conversation should work. So let's build that. So what we are building is Maddie, and this is again going to be the conversable, Maddie, and it's a conversable agent. So Basically, we need to import conversable agent first. So it is under AutoGen. So we can import this particular conversable agent, and that's what we need to pass here. And inside this right now, what are the details that we are supposed to pass is first the name of agent. So in our case, the agent name is Maddie. The next information that we can pass, sorry, let's give this in double quote. The next information that we can pass is system message. And I'm passing this particular system message. Okay, so your name is Maddie and you are a part of Duo Comedians. So this is what we are passing. The next we can pass is the LLM config. And we know that it's the LLM config in our case. So this is done. Then next one we can pass a human input mode. And what exactly the human input mode is, that we will be studying in the upcoming video. So for now, let's just pass it as never. Let's not focus much on this. So this is the first agent that we have built. You can see we have passed these details. And second agent, let's say create it as a Joe. Let's give the name as Joe. And the same system message, your name is Joe and you are part of Duo Comedians. And other details are same. Now we have built these two agents. Now as we have built the two conversation agents, so let's start the conversation. So let me just keep it constant. So this is Joe, and then we can start the conversation. And for starting the conversation, we can use Joe.initiate chat. And in the initiate chat, we can pass the details like first, Joe should talk to Maddie, and what it needs to pass is message, and message is nothing but, let's say, Maddie, tell me a joke. And then now here you can see we haven't passed any termination, but now we need to pass the termination. So let's use the very first method of passing the termination in initiate chat. And what we have studied is we need to pass max turn as a parameter. So let's pass max turn, and we can pass the value as 2, max turns as 2. And let's see what exactly it returns now. So whenever we will run now, it will have two conversations, like 2 complete turns, and then it will stop. So in order to run this, let's run this particular file, Python test termination.py. So max turns we are passing 2. So basically 2 conversations will happen, one from Joe to Maddie, and again from Maddie to Joe, that is 1 turn, and similarly another turn. So let's see, now it has started generating the joke. So let's understand how exactly it has generated. Now first one, Joe to Maddie, it is saying, Maddie, tell me a joke. Then Maddie is telling the joke, this particular joke to Joe. Now you can see the first turn completed. Now in the second turn, again Joe is responding back to the Maddie, and again Joe is telling another joke to the Maddie. And this is the start of second turn. And then Maddie is responding back to the Joe, and you can see it has responded back. So 2 turns completed. So you can see it has given that maximum turns 2 reached, and that's where it has terminated. So you can see, right, isn't it interesting? So the 2 turns it has completed, the 2 complete conversation, and then it has auto ended the conversation. So that's the feasibility given by AutoGen. And this method of passing or terminating the chat, right, it is you can use it only when if you are very sure about the turns that are happening between the agents. So if you are not aware about how exactly will be the turns, right, then we need to go ahead with the second method, that is handling the termination at agent level. And that's what we will see now. Okay, now let's understand the second method where we can control the termination at agent level. So let's create another file. We can create at agent level termination.py, and we can copy everything from test termination and we can paste it here, because similar thing we are going to use. So again, in this also we are going to use Maddie and Joe as a 2 agent. And now here you can see we just need to pass one parameter to the Joe agent, let's say, because it is at agent level, so we can pass here. And the parameter that we have seen is the max consecutive auto reply, and let's set this auto reply to 1 in order to test. And now we no need to pass anything in the initiate chat. So we can remove this particular max turn information, and let's see how exactly the conversation will work. So let me clear the screen. Let's run the file python agent level termination.py. So let's understand now how exactly the conversation will happen. So you can see the conversation has started. First Joe to Maddie, and as we seen in the query, first question that the agent is asking, it is not counted in the max consecutive reply because it is counted. The counter is increasing based on the reply, not on the question that is asked. So first question, Maddie, tell me a joke. This is not counted. So Maddie responded to the Joe for the question that it has asked. Now Joe received some response from Maddie. That is the reply that Maddie received. And now what this particular Maddie agent will do is Maddie agent will generate the response back to the reply or response obtained from Maddie. So Joe to Maddie, this is the first consecutive auto reply. It has generated the joke and sent back to the Maddie. Now there is no restrictions on Maddie, so Maddie will keep generating the jokes. So Maddie has generated the joke and responded back to the Joe. Now you can see it has terminated the run and it is saying maximum number of consecutive auto replies reached, and this has reached for Joe because now it was Joe's turn to generate the joke, but now as it has reached, so Joe is terminating the session, and that's how you can control at agent level. This is first type that we have seen. Now let's understand the second type where we can control by passing several messages into the chat. Okay, so what we can do, instead of passing max consecutive auto reply, we just need to pass new parameter that we called it as is termination flag, or sorry, is termination message. And the value to this particular is we can pass all the content from the message, and in order to pass that, what we can pass is let's use the lambda function where we can pass message, and message meaning the content obtained from the message. Okay, so we can see now in each termination message, what we are passing is if goodbye is available in the message content, then we are lowering it in order to match the value. If goodbye is present, then it is terminating the message. Now, in order to call this particular, what we can do is we can tell Maddie a joke, and then we can just add one particular line, joke, and then say the word goodbye. Now with this, we are requesting Joe to pass this particular custom message while for termination, and once this termination message goes into the Joe will terminate the message. So Maddie, we are requesting Maddie to pass this particular word. Now let's go ahead and test this. Let me clear the screen. Let's run the file. Now you can see the conversation has started. Now what we are passing is Joe to Maddie is asking Maddie, tell me a joke and then say the word goodbye. So you can see Maddie to Joe. Maddie has written a joke, and at the end, Maddie has written goodbye, and that goodbye is captured by Joe, and then it has terminated. So you can see terminating the run. Termination message condition on agent is agent that Joe has already met. So Joe has captured that condition. Let's pass terminate. And here we can say that, say the word terminate. Now let's see what it will happen. Here we are lowering, so it's fine. And if I'm starting the conversation again, it should capture that terminate word and terminate the conversation. Okay, you can see Maddie, tell me a joke and say the terminate. You can say Maddie has written the joke, and at the end Maddie has written terminate, and this termination message was captured by agent Joe, and that's how agent Joe has terminated the conversation. So those are the basics way that we have studied in this particular video to terminate the conversation between agent. I hope it was helpful for you, and in the next lecture we will be studying the human in the loop conversation, how we can add a manual human input in order to control the conversation. So that's what we will study in the next lecture. But yeah, I hope you have understood the importance of termination and what are the ways that are available in AutoGen to terminate the conversation. So I hope this was very helpful. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with your friends. And I'll see you soon in the next video. Thank you so much.